Welcome everybody. A little happy Tuesday afternoon. Was gonna put this off until the new site is out, which is gonna be sooner than expected, as I've said. But a lot of new signups in the last few weeks. Although we have some tutorials already out there, as you can see here, you can go to PGA tutorials, and these are the new ones I put out there. There's I think there's more videos over this under this educational series. On the news site, this will all be in the same place, but some tutorials here and strategy talk, just in case you may be looking for that. I did want to go through, now that I've kind of done my deep dive in the stats and written down a lot of questions. Won't go too in depth. Maybe go further in depth than I anticipated, but try to get through this. I don't want it to be super long where you get, inundated with information, but enough of the key points, especially if you're a new member, and current members. If you see new members, asking, I'll put this video on the site as well, for everybody to check out. We'll start with the green machine, just in case you didn't know. Close to getting it where we want it. The final updates will happen, obviously, on the new site over this next month or so as we continue to work towards it. I had Bobby load back the last week's farmer insurance. Just want to show you, this is going to be, obviously you would put in whatever settings you want to do here. Some of this is on the other video, but now that we've added some of the features, I just want to hit on it. Remember, it'll count your players here, average salary here. Perfect world, we're looking, 7,900-ish is kind of where you may want to be. I'm going to randomly pick, 25 to 28 guys here. Obviously, this would be the part where you would take your process and click your pool. So pretty good on salary. So we got 27 guys at 7,700. This is where this becomes key. Is I see a lot of people, saying, well, the percentages are way off. And yes, they can be, but the difference is, I had this conversation with another guy. He was on another site trying to run lineups, and he was wanting 150 lineups for like the dime or quarter or something like that. And he could only get like 70 or 80. And when we program this, I had told Mr. Gould, I don't want that. I want, if we have to override the, not necessarily override the system, but make it in such a way that it'll still produce the number of lineups the guys are wanting, then yeah, in the ideal world, if your percentages were correct, it would run it perfectly. But if they're not, I told him to basically make the algorithm state, hey, do what you got to do to get their 100 lineups, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting, wanting 70 lineups and you only get 30 and not knowing where to go. I'd rather give you all the lineups and the percentages be way off, and with some of the features we've already added, let you go from there. A lot of times in the ones I've dealt with, it has to do with this being way low or way high. And if it's way low, that's perfectly fine. But what you have to do is lower your min salary, because if your average player is, 7,100, or if 7,100 per se, and you want 30%, say, fee now, but your low amount here is like 49.4. Well, to meet that minimum standard, there's going to be a lot more of your higher priced guys, because you're telling the system, the computer right there, the algorithm, well, my 6 guys have to equal 49.4. Well, the problem with that is if your average salary here is super low, it's going to use a lot of these top guys to make that minimum requirement of the 49.4. So it's fine to have a super low average number here. Just make sure, if you're really struggling, come down here and put like a 48.8 and see how it changes the percentages. It takes time to understand that. I wanted to make it easier for you guys as possible, because some of these lineup builders, optimizers, and stuff can get very overwhelming, but that can be a reason why, so here, we can go back and forth on that. And if you have questions, maybe just hearing that from me will help you. Oh, okay, I see it. Let me try this. Let me try that. Or reach out to me. I can certainly help you. we have added the, as you saw here. So this was last week's ownership projections. And then now they're brought in here. And then we've added the set percentage to GUPS projections. So you can click that and every player will automatically go there. As you can tell with our 27 guys, this has to equal 600. So now you got to bump up where you want to or bump down where you want to accordingly based on the projections. This allows, I thought, will at least give you the base instead of starting at 0. If you want to go that route, if you want to go equal and then move up and down, can certainly do that. Just to run the lineups, I'm keeping them equal real quick, but and then something that'll be on there afterwards on the, once we go to the new side, will be, call it projected versus actual. So if you wanted 23% phenom and you got 65, you would see that. And the reason being is because of, so this is probably a decent example. These two guys are high priced, 65, 55. Well, if I come over here and go like 48.4, because I got some fairly low price guys, and I run the same generate lineups, it allows for that to be spread out a little more. You're still going to have higher percentage than you need, because otherwise you get a whole bunch of low price guys in. And if you still don't like it, you can try that. You can always regen it. We talked about that in the last video, and try to get it as close as you want. And then now you can, say you're like, I want more Harris English, not Finau or whatever. We talked about this. You can go over here, type in Finau, and it's going to give you every lineup that Finau's in. And you can go, okay, I got $700 here. I want to move. I'm going to change Finau out. Obviously he's the highest price in your pool. So I'm going to go to English, and I'm going to bump Piercy up now because I can to Fratelli, submit. I'm just making it up just so you can kind of see. And as you edit that, it edits this live. So you can now go and say you lock. Okay, I like that one. Lock it, yada, yada, yada. Keep doing that until you get to where you want. And say you have, 16, 10 locked, you can hit regen and these will stay. So it allows you the flexibility to kind of build your pool in a manual-ish manner, but still utilize the automation, so you're not having to do it from scratch. It's very flexible, and I got to do a better job of doing videos like these. That's the reason why I'm doing this one, is so you guys can see that. But one thing to keep in mind is paying attention to your average salary here. If it's high, so say you're 81, 8,200 average, you're probably going to have to be pretty close to, this may go to like 49.3 at the most, maybe even 49.4 and 49.9. I rarely say to use 50,000. Maybe sometimes on Showdown, depending on how the pricing is. Showdown, last week I ran some as low as 48,000 flat, because when the pricing gets off or mispriced because of how early they put it out, I'm going to have lineups where I may leave 1,500 on it because of the way they have it priced. And I want to get those combos in. So that, hopefully that kind of answers some of that. The people asking about, the only one we've had continuous trouble with is NBA on the slates being named right and all that. We do have the new feed, the new API. We're in the process of getting it hooked up and loaded. Once we have that, which is a direct feed from DraftKings, that issue will go away. And hopefully even like some of these weird name stuff will all mirror similar or much closer to what DK shows today. For some reason, it's just basketball. Like all of our other stuff seems, obviously NBA or NFL only has Showdown right now. Like golf this week is fine. Waste, Saudi. This one's up there for me for this show. All right. So any questions on that? Let me know. If you want more put into it, I can definitely do another video, but those are the things to come as we start rolling into the new platform. So if you are new, obviously you have the Research Center, the model, live tournament tool, the green machine, which we were just at, sweat tool, which is getting close. We had a couple snafus last week, should be cleaned up and ready to go this week. And then those tutorials I show you on the Research Center. So say you're starting your week, or maybe this is where I go for multiple things. I can deep dive a lot. If you're just looking for general stats, You can go to, here, like field research, just say, my stats are out there, my rankings, all that, but something catches your eye. You can go, I want to see last 24 strokes gained, data in detail. So you do summary, and you can look at all, and you can download this. So it'll tell you in the last 24 rounds in this field, all the stroke gains categories. So I say, who's leading in the field in strokes gain approach? Keegan Bradley, Henley, Wolf, Thomas. That's how you can look at that kind of information. You can download it. So if you want to see, if you want to get 24 and then 96 and then 144 and do some kind of blend, you can download all those. Just click this button. It'll pop up right there. Oh, you're probably only seeing half of that. And you got, one second, get this out of the way. You got the raw data there to do whatever you want to do with. If you want to add it into a model or something like that, you get the same information. It tells you this is the 24. What you can also do is just, if you want to look at a guide. So sometimes I'll do this when I'm deep diving. Let's say I want to see Palmer, how's he trending? 24. So this tells you the max number you want. And then in here, you can do it in sections. So say I want to see up to 96 on Palmer. Well, there's 12. All right, I also want to see his 48. Well, you can just click 48, and it's going to show you there's his strokes gained over the last 48 rounds and where he's been gaining going. We have additions going on to this, kind of some visualization stuff that would help you see some trends or whatnot. But raw data and all you want to see, you can see that there. You can kind of see week by week, where is he going, where is he gaining, where, is he on a, is his approach improving, not improving? Maybe you want to try to go back to this time last year. We'll get to that on another angle. But the other deal it shows you is what rounds are counting in his stats when you pull it. So this comes in important normally when we've kind of had a shift over and we had our true region of the rankings or whatever, the guy, some lost their card, some get it. We really didn't have that this year, but in times that we do, you can come in here and be like, all right, so 12 rounds in this month, that's good. And then it goes back to October, and so you are getting, if you go to the last 24 rounds in your model per se, we get over there, you're going to be getting data from October. So this may show you where you want to get information from. Not everybody's going to have the exact same last 24 if they haven't really been playing. We know Harold was gone for a little while. So you look at his 24, he's got 2 since, 6 since December 3rd. So, in 4 of those, there's no data at all. Then RSM. So this time of the year when some guys have, taken time off, we've had the holidays, some guys don't play Hawaii, blah, blah, blah. This can kind of help in that manner. And you can do this for anything. So, DK scoring, if you want to look at that, driving, if you want to look at that, same deal. You can get a detail, how they've been driving it, fairways and regulations, accurate drive, good, all that, approach, putting, so on and so forth. Scoring, just raw scoring, you can see all of that. From a, just pure stats deal, how a lot of the things I'll do is just look at the field in certain categories, who's leading it. Maybe go into some detail, especially if I'm deep diving and want to see how a guy's been trending. Has he, did he miss the cut by barely or not? We talked about that earlier. Course research just kind of shows you the whole. So, I mean, the entire, what's par been, DK point, FanDuel point, the distance in general, how many aces, birdies, all that. This can kind of let you know par fives, how many birdies have been coming, stuff like that. In the detail, same difference. It'll start showing it year by year type of information if you want to look at all of that. Obviously it's just showing 20 here, but you can go to any year and see if things have changed, or if we talk about, hey, this changed in 17 and you want to look at before and after how it looks up, you can do that as well. On the event research, I use this a lot. definitely, you know, where this is where I talk about, like, if I say, hey, 2018 was a, you know, terrible weather year, you can click that, and anything we look at moving forward is not going to include 2018. Now, there really isn't anything like that for waste right now. So I'm going to say I want to look at the field only, all the years. Yeah, here's a summary. So what I do here is I'll take a look at this, and I'll look at the gap between top 5, top 10, top 20 in each category, and say which of these categories is there a significant difference from even the top. I like to kind of look at miscut versus top 20 versus top 5 type of deal. You know, so on ball striking, guys that miss a cut, their average was losing 1.6. Top 20 was 3.6, and then top 5 was 5.7. That's pretty significant, you know, almost 2.1 strokes over, whereas short game was 0.9. This is actually one of a few places, and we talked about this with Hideki, where the gap in the putting isn't horrible. Now, miscut's always going to be bad, so, you know, I look at that with, you know, grain of salt, but I like to look at these gaps and say, okay, where are the guys that have excelled here, done well? Take it a step further. We can obviously look at the leaderboard, and you can filter by year. You can download the leaderboards. Again, if you only want to see 1 year, you can just click 1 year, and this will just show that year, 2019 leaderboard, strokes gain data, DFS data, whatever. Download it, do whatever you want to do with it, mix it, whatever. You know, so I'll look at this stuff, and then I also want to look at the round data. So all this does from the round data, nothing changes here. I can go to the leaderboard, and now I can see round by round by round. But this, like last week, this is where I was using a lot. So let's say Palmer doesn't have a great history here. So I want to see, well, if I can type. All right, how many times has he played here? Okay, so 2016 made the cut, 4 under, pretty good. 2017 missed the cut, +4. Missed the cut, +1. I have on another sheet, but you can go, you know, I think he missed the cut by 1 shot there. Made the cut here, shot even, 3 over in the final round. Then last year he missed the cut at 0, and I believe the cut was -1. So 2 times he's missed the cut, he's missed it by 1 shot out of these 5. So do I weigh his quote unquote bad performance as, you know, worse? It's more of an anecdotal, like something to add to my mind in the deep thought, and it kind of, or the deep dive, and it kind of blends into my final rankings. That's where I make some adjustments. And you look at 17, when he was shot +4, his putting was horrendous. He lost almost 6 strokes putting. And he normally putts pretty good on Bermuda. So do I believe that as much as like here? Lost 2.5. He was kind of a little all over the place. Still played all right. Missed the cut by 1. That's a lot better to me than if I'm deep diving on a guy like that who's playing good now, than, you know, if he had just missed the cut by, you know, he's shooting +3, +6 all over the place type deal. Scheffler was another one. He missed the cut last year, but when you look at my deep dive I put out today, like some of his stuff was popping. He as well shot even like Palmer, you know, tee to green. I mean, not horrible. Ball striking was good. 3.9. Lost it in the short game, around the green and putting. So you know, that's a factor to me. Okay, is that something that's going to continue to hinder him here, or did he just have a bad week? You know, you start deep diving in that kind of stuff. I want to just show you that this is where this information is at. You can come in here and pull anybody's history. Fowler, let's go Matsu. Matsu has quote unquote great history here. Obviously 2016 shot tracker wasn't around yet. That's why they're all blank, or it was just coming around. You know, ball striking has been pretty good. Missed the cut here. This is where he withdrew. That's why it's blank on the second one. And then 2019, he was okay. He's putted, you know, I mean, he still lost. I mean, look, I mean, what did he finish that year? 15th. So, and he lost 3, 4, 5, and then he had 1 good putting round. So about 3 strokes putting, and he finishes 15th. You know, so not that I wouldn't be on him or I am on him, but I can see this history. And if you do want to download it, you can just go download it. It's not, you know, you can go do whatever you want to do with it on that sense. and maybe you want to get a baseline for everybody and you want to pull some data, you can always say all players and you'll get everybody that's in the database, even if they're not playing here this week. I do that for a couple other things. I'll utilize that some for my GUPS rankings, power rankings. But again, on all this, you can come back, approach, driving, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the research center. Hopefully that helps more and lets you guys understand where you can go look at this information. You can download it. You can, and you can go up here and say, okay, I want to see I want to see everything in 2021 so far. It may time out at 12. So 12 is the max right now. So I want to pull the last 12 events. And it's going to pull, if you don't filter these, it's going to pull those events for all year. So what I'm really trying to do here is show me the last, 12 events. Let's go back here for 2021. And look at the round data. So you see, we got all of them. Strokes gained. And you can pull it this way. Now you can see. One thing I told Josh I wanted to add was to put, because when I started doing this, I wanted to also have the course on as another column. So we'll add that, but you can kind of see, and you can search just for someone. So let's go back to, maybe Fowler. And you can kind of see what that looks like based on these events there. And this is an extreme, but what I've done is sometimes I'll just kind of go, all right, I just want to boot the last, since we've started over, Tournament of Champions type deal, to get a real fine look. And I'll come in here and I'll look around at different pieces of puzzles to there as I'm looking at guys and seeing how they've done, so on and so forth. Always make sure you know what years you got marked here, so you don't get stuff you don't want or get too much stuff in that instance. I'll go to the live tournament tool real quick. The PGA model, I've got a video out there. Not a lot has changed there. I'll maybe run through one real quick just to show you. So this is going to have the farmers up because we haven't, the new one. Normally the new leaderboard comes out once tee times are out is when it kind of updates. But if you're new and you kind of didn't really even know we had this, this is what a lot of people will utilize for Showdown. I get my data feed from similar place that feeds this. You can come in here at any time during the tournament and see your strokes gained, your strokes gained stat overview. You can break it down tee to green by round, how it's scrolling in there. So maybe Saturday night you're wanting to see how they're trending. It'll show obviously event in the first 3 rounds. So this is a good area to kind of see, did someone get a hot putter yesterday? Did someone, whatever? You can download this again. So, if you want to look at this in an Excel format or put a little model together or something, you have that capability. If you click on the course, it may not do it here, but it'll take people, so it'll take off after the guys missed a cut type of deal. If I'm correct there, I can double check that, but the base, a lot of people like, okay, it's just the overview, okay, obviously this is more relevant when the tournament's going on. So after each round, you can come look at and my rankings have a lot of these, so you can utilize that. But if you want to get more in depth or do your own thing or look at trends round to round in a certain area, if you think ball striking's big, you can come look in here and see who may trend up. So this was a little different because one of the rounds wasn't shot tracked, but this week we'd be able to see a round 1, a round 2, and maybe going to round 3 or round 4, we can see if someone just had one bad day and it's really bringing their numbers down, but they caught fire, so on and so forth. Wave split, this will tell us based on when we have true AM PM. This is a little bit different from last week, but like this week we'll be able to tell, did the course play way better in the morning, way better in the evening on these certain stats that we have in there. Fairways, rate, each round, if you want to see, maybe they had one big round hitting fairways and that's why their scores are up, so on and so forth. You can copy Excel, CVS, all this. It's pretty self-explanatory in that time. Like I mentioned, tee times will be up here when we have the new event. You can come up here and look at the tee times every night as soon as they load, or as soon as they're announced. This will load if you want to take a look at it. I put it on my sheet too. Weather, you can take a look at the closest weather that where Josh is pulling this from. DFS, this will have the so this would have been the contest for for Sunday. Actually, that's the full contest. And then the field, if you ever want to pull the field beforehand. Biggest deal for the live leaderboard is being able to, you can look at this way. If you want, you can come in here, maybe look at, you can get all in depth on any of this stuff, but this will show you, their full scorecard per player, so whether it be par, this is to par, you can do strokes, show to show, 4, 5, 5, 3, 4, whatever. You can look at DraftKings per hole, FanDuel per hole, Super Draft per hole, Showdown as well. So you can see all that if you want to, by rounds. Round scoring, I'll look at this sometimes to kind of tell how's the field playing. Again, last week was a little different with, even the North played a lot harder. You can tell how it's harder to play in that wet rain stuff, almost a shot and a half. And then all 4 rounds, it, played harder in the rain, still harder on Saturday than even round 1. And then actually round 4 played the easiest of the week. I'll do this to kind of just see where the wave splits are per se. And then, is there anything that trending that kind of catches my eye? Or for round 2 showdown, that, maybe the AM, if we only have one course, maybe the AM just shot lights out compared to the PM on one course. Again, this is a little bit different. And, I'll dig into that a little bit. Hole scoring. So this will tell you every score on that hole for the day. And this can be live. So round 1, you can come in here midday and look, and maybe your guy, sometimes you get a little, you're frustrated because your guy's not doing well, but in times it can be, I kind of like doing in times it can be that the back nine's playing way harder than the front 9. So I may come into this deal and kind of see, oh, look, 1 through 9 is just horrendous, or vice versa. You can see here, 10, 11, 12, all these played over par, but 18 on the, so if my guy started on 10 on a given round, if he just gets to that even, he's way ahead of the field in general. And now I got 9 holes where 4 of them played over par. So just things that are additional tools that we have in there. I don't know if everybody knows that, so I want to make sure to see that. The cut sweat tool, I don't even think it'll load right now, but it'll be, I'll go over this more in depth once we have it locked and loaded. And kind of buttoned up, but you can go check it out this week. It should be back up. Like I said, I don't think it'll, it's disconnected right now, but it should be back up this week for this tournament. And this is going to be a neat feature once we have it fully rolling. So the model, again, I have other videos on this. I don't want to spend a ton of time. I'm just going to kind of make sure you guys know some of the key things. When you're building a model, this is more about you. Typically, you're always going to do field, but maybe you want to do a year to date, who's doing well, and 5 stats I think are great. You can click all players and it's gonna, let you do that. You obviously have other stuff in here if you want to do it. So I click field only. And if you're not familiar with the terms or conditions, these are all the stats we have. You can read it. It'll show you what they mean, what we mean by them. If you're pulling that information, good drives, a rate that a player hits accurate drives further than 50% of the field with a given hole, great drives, 80%. You can read all this if you're really trying to dial in, what do I want to see? Maybe you already know because you've taken notes from Kenny, my pod, my models, all that kind of stuff. You know what you want to get. That's fine too. So let's just say you're going to start with ball striking. You can name this whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's just a placeholder. So you go ball striking. Let's say I want to do approach. Let's say I'm going to do opportunities inside 12. Par 5, DK. Say I forgot what all driving I had. You can click driving here. Oh yeah, it was good drives I wanted to see, just so you can see it. I can go over here, go ahead and put ball striking, opportunities inside 12 feet, scoring DraftKings par 5. And then I remembered I wanted good drives, so I can go good drives. Driving, good drives. Let's say I know they're on Bermuda this week, so I want some putting. Most people don't like it, but I'm going to put it in mine. I don't care what people think. So I'll get to that in a second. When you're applying all of these stats as a global data, it's going to be whatever you put in here. So if you're wanting the last, you went over to the research center and you saw what you wanted, and you're wanting the last 24 rounds, and you want guys to at least played 4 rounds. So if they only played 2 in the last 24, in the date that you give, they're going to return a 0. So I want a guy that's at least played a tournament or played 2 tournaments, even if he missed the cut. Maybe that's my deal. This will tell you your date range. Maybe you're long term. You want to go back more than a year. I rarely go back more than a year, but let's say I'm going to go back since the fire up. So that was basically June 1st-ish. In here, if you're wanting to only look at a certain course or certain courses, you can click none, highlight them, click all, vice versa. If you only want certain par courses, only certain yardages, all that. Fairway type, I only want Bermuda. Green types, only want Bermuda, or whatever it is. You can click on and off, however you want it. The tighter, more restrict you make these, you may not be able to pull data or a model because you have the restrictions too tight. There may not be enough information. So if you ever get paused up on that, then make sure you may have to loosen this up a little bit, whether it be like if I did this over the last month and I said 24 rounds, well, there may not be a lot of guys that play 24 rounds in a month. Very little. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible, but some of those things, be very careful of where you're doing to, or what you're doing to this. So all of these filters apply to when you see this stat here, and if it says global data, it's using these datas. Opportunity, this and this. Now let's say, but I want, so good drives, we don't care what the grass type is. Does it matter if it's Bermuda or fescue or Kakua on a drive? No. So you don't want to limit. If you put Bermuda only here, you're limiting your data to only Bermuda courses where it's irrelevant on a good drive. But on a putting, maybe you say, well, they're only putting on Bermuda this week. How do I do that? So what you do, or maybe it's around the green you want to look at. Same deal. They're only, you want to see around the green only on Bermuda. You're going to do the same thing I'm going to show you right here. So let's go strokes gain, putting, local data. That means this is only going to apply to this stat. I want the last 28 rounds, 4 minimum. Say the last year, everything else is the same, but I only want to see Bermuda grass. So now this stat only is going to pull in Bermuda. And that's all that's relevant here. And so your global ones are still going to be the same. And I'm just doing a simple 20% on each of these 5, but you can make this whatever. If you think ball striking is the biggest, you want to make it 35%, make this 15, this 10, this 20, and this 20, you can do that. All right, I got everything set now. I click build model. And anytime, like when you start doing local data on certain deals and stuff like that, it will take a little bit longer, but nothing crazy. You should see some stuff pop up down here that you're good to go. You come over here to model output and summary. You can look this way if you want. Again, you can come down here and kind of see the leaders of each one if you want to. I simply always just put model output. And what it's done is it's taken all of those matrix that you asked for, and it's basically, it took the weight that you put per category and against everybody else in the field, and weighted it and basically wrote your model for it. So on my model right now, Sam Burns is number 1, Scheffler's 2, Rahm's 3. The best putter in my model, if I wanted to look at that. Oops. You know, Kazire, Webb, Berger, kind of makes sense, so on and so forth. And you can rank them. You can do whatever you want. You can do multiple models, mix them. It's endless what you want to do in that kind of situation. But that's kind of how this works. So it was built to be very simple so people could understand. Hopefully this video can be a guide moving forward. All kinds of things you can do in here. You know, if you want to change stuff up, many different categories and stats within the categories, approach, you got, you know, proximity. And this is basically just going to say, it's not going to give you the stats. So if you're looking for stats, that's what we use the Research Center for. This is going to give you a weighting based on how they rank in those stats inside your model. You know, if you did want to go look at, you know, let's say, let's just start over. This is kind of where I look at some of my course history stuff. You can run a model for a certain course too. And if you go here and just go, I want to see who's best tee to green, last 20 rounds, let's do minimum 2, since January, since 2017, basically, but I only want to look at TPC. So I want to see who's been the best TPC Scottsdale. So we go over here, strokes gain, tee to green, 100%, because it's the only one we're using, and build the model. So it's going to look since January 1st, 2017, all the tournaments played at TPC, model output. And here we go. So best tee to green player is Matsu. Second best, Usti, JT, Benyon, Webb. So, I mean, that's different. And that's just this course. Maybe you want to look at, so people ask about the correlative courses. You know, maybe you want to put, I got 6 courses that I think play a lot alike. You can click those 6, run your model, and it's going to pull based on those 6 courses who does well. If you're starting over and doing a whole bunch of new things, I always recommend just go back to click. It kind of clears it out, clears the cache per se. That's the best way. If you start doing a whole bunch of manipulation in here, sometimes you got to get this model to run a couple times to get to get it to run through, because you got to think of how big the machine is behind running it. You don't want to confuse it too much. You know, so if I'm doing a whole brand new deal, it's just as easy to click that, run the new updates I want to do. You know, maybe I want to look at, you know, 4 certain courses that remind me of this one. That's easy. That's where this comes into play. You can build it any way you want. In multiple ways. So hopefully that helps. In general, the whole video helps just focusing on the tools and what we got going. Obviously, we got the football tools that we're going to be revamping up. We'll have our own PGA. We'll have our own NFL Research Center, College Football Research Center. The green machine will be its own place, moving in the new area. Tons to come, but more than anything, I wanted this video to get it out, let you guys watch it kind of today. Maybe it helps you get prepared tonight as we roll into tomorrow for the waste management. Any questions, let me know. Plenty more to come. Appreciate all you guys. Happy 2 years to us today. Appreciate you guys' support. Thank you very much.